then like people can see us now.
Oh my God, people can see us, Sean.
They can see into our home. Isn't that weird? It's like you're in or you're watching, but it's like welcome into our homes. Yeah, you walk through our front door virtually, Ryan.
you just walk right in. Maybe they're just sneaking around the corner, or actually, what's happening is they got transported into our homes directly like 3 feet in front of us, and they're just staring at us.
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's
say
what the
something.
Doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's so funny. We know we're doing just a little. We want to say hi. Just thank you guys for being here right out of the gate, Court and Cato and Project X Talk and the Snack Network.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say some of these people have been here for like half an hour now.
Holy!
9 in the morning. Like Kevin Ainsworth says, first, no one could possibly beat me because I'm 30 minutes early.
Dang. Well, what if you were 32 minutes early? That would beat it.
Also true.
I'm realizing that I'm recording at the wrong frequency, Ryan. I don't want to throw you off. So it defaults to the wrong one. I gotta change that setting. Okay, so now I'm recording again.
Cool.
Matt, we gotta chat because I'm coming to Toronto for that Xbox thing. Mm-hmm.
It's exciting. It'll be here before you know it. Too.
Maybe there'll be a Ubisoft thing, Ryan. Who knows?
Maybe.
There's no way to know.
It sounds like there might be something on Saturday for that too. So
I don't know if this might be an extra large, Ryan. This seems larger to me, but it also it's just tall. Is it just taller? I'm not sure.
Well, here's the thing.
How do I know?
I actually didn't think the medium would be as tall as it is, but it's like pretty tall, and that's like I'd say that's probably a large actually. Now that I'm looking at it,
you think so? Like I gotta compare it to the head. Like this seems enormous, and you'd think that I would know. Like I get it every day. You think that
I was gonna say you of the two of us would probably know better than.
I don't know. I can't tell.
The McDonald's size is for coffee work essentially.
I don't know. Maybe I woke up in a weird space. Very cool. Oh, look at Drew hanging in here. Oh, very cool. Okay, so why don't we do the show and then we can squeeze in as much as we can before that Nintendo thing happens.
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Okay, what are we doing? Did we what's the biggest thing I should chat, what should I scream about in the intro here real quick? Ryan, what do you think?
We got Xbox Live outages, we got Clippy.
Yeah. Clippy.
Fortnite.
Clippy's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clippy's the one. Okay.
Cool.
Here we go. You're Ryan. I don't have trouble calling you Cato, although now that I've said that, surely.
I'm glad that you reminded me that I'm Ryan, Sean.
It's for me. Cato says Clippy like she's known what Clippy is for years, but she didn't. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm glad you're here because you're listening to the most horse-powerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose, and on our journey today, Clippy's coming to Halo, and we're stoked about it for some reason. So jump on in to the Xbox Drive. Ball! There's no power greater than X. Ryan Turford, I gotta get buttons on my Stream Deck for this thing, so I don't have an aneurysm with the BAW long enough that I can look over and click a button for the stream on YouTube.com/carpoolgaming. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, or at least as well as I can. It's very early in the morning for me, and it's just a miracle I'm awake at this point in the morning. So, but we're gonna get through this, Sean. We're gonna power through the show, and to be fair, it is my fault that we're doing this so early. So,
all good, dude. I've already got my workout in. Like I've been up for a couple hours at this point. Like I had a sausage and egg McMuffin. I got my coffee here. I'm good. It's good to see you.
You wake up at like 4 in the morning every day. That's so weird.
4:45 is my new alarm time right now.
Jesus.
It gets me out of the house at about 10 after 5. So it's a good time, man. Lord. Good to see you though.
Yeah, good to see you as well. It's been a couple weeks actually, because last week
we
had Court here,
exactly
filling in for you, and then you just came back from a cool trip to Vancouver, and then we're here now talking about Xbox, which is exciting. So speaking of Xbox segue, let's clean the garage a little bit. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of awesome ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching the live stream right here on youtube.com/carpoolgating, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, although I think most of the people who are here already have subscribed already. But if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps the channel grow. Also, ding, ding, ding ring that bell for notifications to be notified when we go live and do all that cool stuff. And also, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think about Clippy coming to Halo Infinite. We'd love to hear from you, so definitely do that. Or as well, if you want to ask a question for the show, just again, leave your question in the comments of this YouTube video as well that you're currently watching. Also, if you want early access to this and all of our shows, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content. Also, if you're listening on audio feeds, don't forget to hit that subscribe button there as well, rather than, just going to the Spotify website and hitting play.
That's silly.
Hitting that subscribe button definitely helps.
Yeah, one more click to do. Just one more button to push,
Just one more button.
Just get it done.
Cost anything. Just press it. It's fine. It won't scare you anyways.
It's fine.
Also,
it makes me
Sean,
think something bad is going to happen. Just press it. It'll be fine. Nothing catastrophic will happen at all.
I mean, it's kind of like pressing the big red button, Sean. It's
exactly
not to do it.
Well, we should tell people not to do it. Actually, should tell people it's like good for their health to not subscribe and be like, nuts to that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna push the button.
You can't tell me what to do.
Exactly, I'm absolutely pushing this button. You fascist.
And Sean, as probably people can see on the video, I'm wearing my RPG Cave shirt. We have a merch store, a Carpool Gaming merch store. Head over there, pick up some t-shirts, including our limited edition t-shirt, which is leaving May 15th. That's in 4 days.
Yeah,
so
you gotta get on it.
If you want that limited edition t-shirt, you have to go get it now. The link is in the show notes or the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube. And then last but not least, you, Sean Capri, took part in the Backtrackers this weekend, which is, of course, our Carpool Gaming video game book club that happens on our Discord, which is a free server to join, by the way, if you want to join our Discord. The link is in the show notes or the description of this video. And our next game for our next book club is Bug Snacks, which is available on Game Pass. So everyone has Game Pass should be eligible to join that discussion. So discuss with the community on Saturday, May 21st at 11 a.m. Sean may or may not be there this time. Who knows?
Are you going to do? Have you played Bug Snacks? Did you play it on PS5?
I have not played Bug Snacks.
Ooh, I am tempted. I don't know if you want to just like roll into like what do you want to do the thing about the
yeah, we can roll into it. Let's
do the thing.
Let's grab our 8-tracks, pop them, and it's time for the playlist.
Nice.
Because Sean, you took track in the Backtrackers because you played a game. So tell me about it.
That's right. Life is Strange has been completed. Ryan, I felt like I needed to get my homework done on time because I had been talking about this over the last few weeks. I played on xCloud on my iPad. It was a great experience. But that game is a little longer than I was expecting, to be honest. So I played until about 2:30 in the morning Friday night, then got up, did our 1,000 subscriber celebration on that Saturday morning, and then jumped over to talk about Life is Strange. And dude, one of the most special games I think I've ever played. Like, this is one of the more memorable experiences I've had. I know you've raved about it. I'm not telling anything that you don't already know. But I just, the stakes kept getting higher and greater, and it didn't disappoint. And I really just appreciate it. Even there's a little turn. There's like one character twist that I was like, nah, I just don't know about that. But otherwise, I was with Alex the whole time. I really, really loved Life is Strange. This is something that everybody should be playing on Game Pass. So number one, we got Game Pass, which gives you access. It's the greatest video game deal on the planet, blah, blah, blah. But then you also have the Backtrackers that allows you to talk about these games. And I realized, quick shout out to these guys. We don't get to do too many like spoilery conversations about games. Oftentimes we're broadcasting, we're doing stuff like this where we kind of go like, basically what I just did. Like, I really like the game and the characters were good and the setting is blah, blah, blah. But like diving into it with the Backtrackers was so awesome. Like, we went right into some very specific elements of the game and had everybody bring their own perspectives, which again, I'm used to talking to you. I'm used to talking to Cato and, a select few people that we do podcasts with. Then you jump on with the Backtrackers. There's like 9 people in there, all giving their own perspectives and totally different takes. And it was awesome. Like, it makes sense. So in any case, Life is Strange is done. I want to do it again with Bug Snacks because I'm very curious about what the heck happens at the end of this game. I'm just hearing that the end of the game is mind warping in some way. But I also might have done one of those tournament brackets where I list 64 games and then I did it by myself. I just created a list.
But Sean, that's such a great stream idea. Why would you do this by yourself?
I needed it done, man. There's 63 games that didn't make the cut that maybe we'll have to do another one after this. But the winner after a bunch of rounds, I don't even know how many, was Rise of the Tomb Raider. is the one that I went, these various games went head to head, and I just went with my gut. And if you want to hear more about it, Pant's Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast is available to everybody at the exclusive tier and up. And I walked through that a little bit last night, actually. So it's available today.
I saw TPR kind of commenting about this yesterday.
Yeah.
Recommending you at least a little bit on it.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to do. He's just like, play what's in your heart. I'm like, no, there has to be a process.
There has to be order.
And I ended up exactly where I said I was going to. Like, I wanted to play Rise of the Tomb Raider anyways. And oddly enough, it ended up, I'll just give you a quick preview. It ended up Rise of the Tomb Raider versus Uncharted in the very end. And I just flipped a coin and Rise of the Tomb Raider won. Yeah.
All came down to a coin flip.
That's pretty crazy. Yep. Nathan Drake versus Lara Croft. So
my God.
There you go.
Well, first of all, I'm very glad you finally finished Life is Strange: True Colors. I mean, and that you enjoyed it, because I think, again, that game is amazing. That's one of my favorite games from last year.
Yeah. I don't blame you. Yeah.
And it's something that maybe we should talk about off air, because I kind of want to know what some of the choices.
Yes, dude. There's like actual. I don't know if like the ending is always like I think there's 3 or 4 defined endings, but there's so many different like pieces of it. This is what I liked about the spoiler cast and doing that with the backtrackers. Yes.
Yeah. There's so many like individual shards. It's not as like crazy open as like the ending to Tell Me Why, which we had like, I remember when we both played that game, we had totally different endings.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different variations with that game. But on my end, Sean, first of all, I played a bunch of retro games again this week, because I talked about it last week. That's kind of like the mood I'm in right now. I beat Mega Man 3 for fun. I beat Castlevania Circle of the Moon for fun. I beat a lot of old games for fun. But
humble brag.
A new game this week that came out yesterday, and that is Elyuden Chronicle Rising. This is actually new on Game Pass. This is from this Kickstarter for a different game called Elyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, which isn't coming out till next year, but it's essentially meant to be an RPG that's a spiritual successor to Konami's old RPG series called Suikoden, which was a highly beloved RPG series back on the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. But this isn't basically trying to be that. This is essentially, as part of the Kickstarter, they raise enough funds to basically do like a side game, or like kind of like a prequel that sets up the universe, essentially. But it's an action RPG versus a turn-based RPG. So that's what Elyuden Chronicles Rising is, where it's essentially you play as a character called CJ, who's basically an adventurer. She comes from basically this clan of adventurers, essentially, and she's basically kicked out of the house at 16 to go, make a living, finding treasure and kind of going on adventures and stuff like that.
I feel like 16 is ancient in these games. What an old person. Holy cow. Get a job at 9,
exactly. And yet in this world, for whatever reason, they think that it's weird that she's 16 and out on adventures, because they're like, oh, well, you should be older. You should be older before you get kicked out.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Just flipping the script on us a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So she ends up in a town that's basically kind of ravaged by earthquakes, essentially, but it's like a mining town. She's basically going on quests to kind of help rebuild the town, essentially, while also going on adventures in like the local quarry and a bunch of other local areas outside the town to find materials, both to build new facilities in the town itself, but also to, help deepen her pockets a little bit. So
can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is the mining causing the earthquakes? Is that something that they're toying with? Like, is that a thing? Like, it's got to be a thing, right? They're just breaking the earth.
That probably plays into it, but I'm not far enough in the story to be able to give you a yes or no.
Okay, but do you just stick around in a place that just like has like earthquake season? This is what I don't understand this. We live in Canada. We have winter. It's very cold, but we don't have hurricane season where you're just like batten down the hatches. I guess there's a bunch of hurricanes coming. I don't understand that. It's kind of what this reminds me of. Yeah, I guess there's just a couple like light earthquakes.
Yeah, even though like you go into the town and like half the buildings are demolished because of the earthquakes, it's just like, why do people continue to live here?
Just leave. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of money to be made in the mine, I guess, and that's why they're staying.
Yes.
TJ can't leave right away, because every time she completes a quest in town, she receives a stamp on her stamp card, and then your reward for getting stamps on your stamp card is just goodwill.
You get like a free coffee after 13 stamps or something.
Yeah. You fill up your stamp card, and your reward is you get another stamp card to put more stamps on, essentially.
Yeah. Kato's in the chat says we have Kato's in the chat says we have tornado season. I'm like, yeah, I know that. Like, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I just didn't really want to call her out, but there she is.
I was gonna say, I remember living in,
oh my gosh, tornado season,
which is just lovely, Sean.
No, thank you.
But Elyuden Chronicle Rising. I'm liking the action RPG combat. It starts off really simple with where you don't really have any combos or any of their moves or any of their party members. But as you progress through the game, you'll unlock new moves for CJ to do. You'll unlock a bunch of magic skills. You'll also earn extra characters to play with along the way. And the way your extra characters kind of play in this game is they're essentially assigned to different buttons on the controller. So the first character you actually get is a kangaroo mercenary.
Come on.
Garou.
Come on.
Garou. And
Yes.
He's got this giant sword, and basically his special ability is he can like break down boulders because he can swing his sword.
They gave a kangaroo a sword. Why not boxing gloves? Like why? On his feet.
The best part is, Sean, you know how kangaroos have pouches to store things? Well, he has a magic pouch attached to his body.
Got to be kidding me.
Where he slides his sword in, and then he pulls his sword out of there. Yeah, it's ridiculous in all the right ways. But
This is amazing.
This is a game that I thought felt a little stiff to play at first, and I wasn't really kind of intrigued with it. But as I played it, I was really getting into it and found myself just like playing it for hours and hours yesterday.
That is amazing, dude.
I'm actually enjoying Elyuden Chronicle Rising. I don't think it's like an RPG masterpiece or anything like that, or anything you need to rush out to play.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for a good action RPG, I think it actually does the job pretty well. And it's on Game Pass, so definitely make sure to check it out.
Ryan, I thought we had picked this one for our fantasy draft with the PlayStation, the trophy room.
Not.
I want to call them the PlayStation draft.
I don't feel so bad that we didn't, because I think it only hit OpenCritic at a 78, I think.
I mean, that's not too bad. I think 78 over whatever.
True.
What it was one of the last loser that I picked. I think Nintendo Switch Sports. Yeah, you're right. You called it right. Wii Sports for Switch. Yeah, is what we shall be referring to that game as. Yeah. Oh, cool, man. I'm glad you're liking it. And yeah, nice little win for Game Pass. I see Project X Talk in the chat as well, saying he's a couple hours into it. He's got 25 stamps so far. Yeah. 5 more to go. Yeah.
I'm at like 52 stamps right now.
Oh.
There's 150 stamps in the game. So
sit down, Kevin. Sit down. You're talking to Ryan Turford here about an JRPG.
That's not true. Kevin Ainsworth is way better at games than I am, Sean.
I heard that they played a little Smash the other day, and our good friend Jason Lacey, who is excellent at Smash, goes like, "Yeah, this guy's on another level."
Yeah, I mean, they're preparing for our tournament that's coming up this week, Sean.
Yes, cross community with Nintendo Pals. This is more probably something that we could have talked about on the Nintendo Drive for Smash, but Nintendo Pals, Nintendo Dads, Super Gamecraft, and us. I think that's 4. Yeah, I did it.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
very
we got
cool.
everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's happening Thursday night, I believe.
So there you go. The 14th.
Please be excited.
Please be excited.
Anyways, let's slam the brakes on this conversation, and it's time for some breaking news. And it was an interesting week in Xbox this week.
Yeah.
And of course, the one story we have to talk about that happened over the weekend was Xbox Live had major outages, causing a large portion of users to not be able to access any of their games or apps over the weekend. While this issue has pretty much been fixed by the time we're doing this podcast, Xbox support has stated in an update on Twitter that they're basically have an update for the system coming later this week that will fix basically any of the remaining issues that people are kind of having with this. But this brought up a whole discussion, Sean, about DRM and how it's a thing. So first off, Sean, did you play Xbox at all this weekend? And if so, did you run into any issues?
Well, I thought I did. Like, I'm trying to think about when the trouble began, because like I said, I was playing Life is Strange until 2:30 in the morning on Saturday. So I seem to be fine from that perspective. But I did see people like Ed Placencia playing Trek to Yomi, and it just like cutting out on him. And I don't know if he even realized. I wonder everybody out there if they didn't realize what was happening, like why things weren't working until maybe later on. Because I think he thought it was a problem with the game. I saw him like rage quit the game and delete it. It's like, hang on, like I don't know, maybe there was bugs in that game as well, but you're right. Like it's definitely one thing to be kind of locked out of your games, but more like, okay, so how reliant are we on this entire system? And it makes people feel powerless, and like they don't have a way to fix it, and that's not a place you want your community of gamers, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even an issue that was just with digital games. You couldn't play physical games.
Any games. Yeah.
Any games at all. So, which is just a thing. It's just part of the way the Xbox ecosystem is set up, where it has to do kind of that online check-in.
Yeah.
Make sure that, you've got basically the actual version of the game. You're not pirating the game or anything like that. Again, that goes all the way back to Don Matrick's vision of the Xbox back in 2013.
Yeah, you just don't announce it at E3. They just do it anyways. That seems to be where we're at. I did see a couple kind of like news stories floating around about there was one, I think Xbox was looking to somehow patent a way that you could prove ownership through like even an external disk or drive particularly for the Series S, which I thought was fascinating. So I don't know exactly how that's going to pan out, but I do believe, and this might be the most fanboy thing I've said in a long time, but it just seems like Xbox has been on this sort of thing, like they're aware. And if anybody's going to solve this problem, I think it's them. Whether it's a 7-day grace period or a 4-day grace period or something like that. But the thing that was really shocking about this was it was instantaneous. The connection to the servers and everything was shut down, and therefore you couldn't play anything. I just feel like that's got to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I know from experience playing over the weekend, I didn't have any problems on my Series X, but it's also set as my home console.
Right.
So I would expect, because when you set your console as your home console, it usually doesn't do that check-in like every time you play a game. It usually just does that check-in like once a week, essentially. Whereas my Series S, when I tried playing on that, basically every once in a while it would come up with a message saying, in order to play this game, please make sure to connect to the internet. It would still let me, press OK and then go back to my game and continue playing. But that message coming up every once in a while was annoying enough to note that it was an issue. But I feel like I had it, easy compared to a lot of other people where they couldn't run anything at all, like whether it's entertainment apps or games of any kind.
Well, Argos in the chat said I couldn't play some games on Xbox PC, which I mean, it's all the same kind of server. And I wonder how PC would work on that front, because you're right. You can set a console to your home console. I don't recall there being a setting like that for PC. And I think that I just want to call this out too. What we're really doing is commenting on an issue that impacted, thousands, if not millions of people. But it's actually impossible to know what setups everybody had. Like, I don't know. Maybe I would have been fine all weekend because my console was set to home. And if that's the case, then I think that should be part of the conversation, because I said at the very beginning, if we feel like we don't have control over the matter, then we get really upset. But if there's a way around this, and if that is using or setting your home console, then that is similar. Court Lalonde is saying do what Nintendo does. That's exactly what Nintendo does. They're very similar in that way. And I think PlayStation does that as well, setting a home console. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that it wasn't the be-all, end-all solution for everyone, though, because I saw MVG, YouTuber, on the weekend kind of tweet saying that his console was set to home, yet he was still running into this issue. So
yeah, that's no good.
That's why I don't think it was kind of the complete issue to fix things. But I do think it definitely helped, because I think we saw less people kind of reporting this issue that had set their home console, if that makes any sense.
I am surprised that we haven't seen any sort of like reconciliation from Xbox. They're usually pretty good about this sort of thing. Like, here's a day of something, or here's a coupon or something like that.
I think they're still fixing the problem.
True enough,
as we kind of noted in the story.
Yeah, good point.
And I think they're probably waiting until they have that done before they provide anything. But either way, it's a story that it's important for us to at least talk about at least a little bit, because it kind of affects kind of the future of Xbox as well. Because, I mean, this obviously is not going to be the last outage that happens.
Yeah.
So I hope that they, find some kind of solution for this, even if it is just, turning off that online check-in for a lot of this stuff. But
it's a reputational thing. Like, if it happens often enough, people go like, that network is garbage. Like, I think PlayStation maybe is just now shedding a little bit of that, because there was that, obviously, the giant outage, and then there was kind of like rolling stuff that would happen, rolling blackouts. So it's
Well, I mean, we've had outages during the PS5 era.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are some days where you can't even play anything on PlayStation 5.
Totally.
So we have the same conversation over there, or even on Nintendo Switch. If you remember, I think it was last year or the year before, where like there was that outage for like a week and a half where you couldn't install digital games.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of it, I guess. We get more games, we get access to more things, and we don't have to go to stores anymore. But there's a trade-off for sure.
And eventually, too, when we get to the future where everything is all streaming, when all the games are all streaming, if the servers go down, you won't be able to play anything anyways. So you're going to be running into the same problem eventually, anyways, with games. So I think this is something that as much as I hate to say it, it's something we kind of have to get used to because eventually there's going to be a point where
we'll not accept it. We'll outrage. We'll get our pitchforks and
every game will eventually be online only, Sean, and then you will even single player games, and then you will be forced to deal with this.
I mean, that is the streaming future, so you're probably right about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, next up, Sean, in what might be one of the weirdest crossovers ever, Microsoft Office mascot Clippy comes to Halo Infinite in the form of playable cosmetics, including a gun charm, nameplate, and an armor and vehicle decal. It's only available as part of a daily special that happens in the rotation of daily specials on the store, the cosmetic store for Halo Infinite.
Oh, yeah.
But, and in fact, it was actually the daily special yesterday in Halo Infinite.
Was it really? Oh, no, I could have gone to, I was playing last night. I could have, oh, shoot, I didn't even look there.
I don't know what time they rotate, Sean, so you might actually still have time to decide it and look.
Oh.
But
who needs meetings?
If you see it in the store, you can get Clippy for yourself on your weapon and on your decals and on your armor and on your nameplate, and it looks as silly as you would have.
Can we not get
Clippy's doing the thing with his eyes essentially, where he's like, "Yeah, come to me."
I want Clippy as like an AI. You know, you can get like your different AIs in the thing. Like, I want Clippy as an AI, and I want him to be just a smart ass the whole time. Oh, it looks like you're dying a lot. Like, it looks like you're writing a letter. How can I help you? Yeah. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
I actually think that they'll probably do that at some point because I saw a lot of people say that over the weekend too, where they saw this news that they definitely wanted to happen.
Yeah, more Clippy, please, definitely.
I know. I also love the fact too that Console Kato didn't know who Clippy was until yesterday. I think a lot of people might not even actually know who Clippy was. So Clippy, on like old versions of Microsoft Office, he would be this little like tutorial assistant that would come up in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. He'd be like, if you have any questions about Microsoft Office, please talk to me. Please, ask your questions here.
It was advanced stuff because it was like your first words would be like, "Dear so and so," and it would pop up and it would say, "It looks like you're writing a letter. Like, can I help you with this?" kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool. But
Clippy was a jerk anyway. Says Kato. He judged us.
Sean, I didn't have this on the docket, but Project X Talk, Evan aka Kevin Edsworth in the chat, also noted there was also an announcement over the weekend that Project Eve has crossed over with Microsoft Excel.
You've got to be kidding me.
They had that as part of like a Project Eve kind of like announcement showcase.
Yeah.
Where essentially you can take all of your like your documentation in Microsoft Excel and import it into the game. Because apparently people were using Excel for all kinds of crazy stuff for that game to keep track of, a bunch of Project Eve stuff. So
yeah, more of this, please. Actually, yeah, more exporting stuff to my. Yeah, I actually would like that very much.
So the power of Microsoft Office.
That's right. That's right. That's the future awesome. We've all been wanting, man. We're here.
I mean, just do more stuff with Clippy. Clippy's a great character. I don't see why he ever left.
I got to look into what other mascots or whatever we're calling them. What else was there? Because Clippy was just the default, but there were others, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember them either because it's been so long since I played with that.
Forgettable, I guess.
Clippy was clearly the most memorable one because he was a paperclip that talked. Next up, and a really interesting story, Microsoft and Epic have teamed up to bring Fortnite to Xbox Cloud Gaming. And normally we don't talk about cloud gaming stuff whenever there's a new edition of a game, but this one's really important because it makes Fortnite streamable on PC and consoles, but also on iOS and
iPhones.
Android, where the game was pulled from service. It will be available to anyone with the Xbox app and does not require Xbox Live Gold or Game Pass subscriptions to play. Like, it's free to play, just like on Xbox, so anyone can jump into it. Microsoft has also stated they're going to do this with more free-to-play games in the future, and they just didn't announce when those are going to happen. But this is super cool because, like, it's kind of circumventing kind of like Apple's system or Android.
That's why they didn't want xCloud on their damn phones. You know what I mean? It's pretty obvious.
But they got it now. So now all the kids can do the dab in Fortnite and, play with their friends on their phone. Sean, what do you think about this news? Because I think it's like super interesting.
I love it. Dude, like there's so many like really shrewd and interesting business moves that happen in this industry, and I just love watching it from that perspective. But then you have a guy like Tim Sweeney from Epic who took to Twitter to say this. I don't often do this, but I love this tweet. And he said, "Monumental news for everyone. Fortnite is now available to play for free, streaming to web browsers on iPhone, iPad, and Android via Xbox Cloud. No subscription required. No 30% Apple tax." he calls it. This guy's got no chill, dude. Like,
Yep.
I feel like he has no real, like, he's not, is he going to make a gazillion dollars just off of this deal? Probably not. He's probably still doing fine with everything else. Like, they've got, Epic is a huge company. But he's got an axe to grind, and I kind of dig it. I just like this grudge he's got against Tim Cook. It's the battle of the Tims, and I am here for it, man. We'll see what happens. But it's very cool, and I'm also meaning to get into Fortnite because they got that no build mode. So Fortnite's got some, making some moves in my book.
Probably not the game you probably want to play on game streaming, but it is an option available to you on your phone. If
you check it out. Very cool.
Yeah, I think this is an awesome move, and to be fair, I'm actually pretty excited that they're doing this with other free to play games as well, because I think this is just a great move for Xbox. It really I think it's going to help, because you still have to sign up for like a Microsoft account essentially to access this. So I think it's just going to help grow the user base, because then they'll be on the app and be like, oh, look at all these other games that are here that I could be playing now if I got Game Pass.
Yeah, I think that's the bridge that hasn't been built yet, really, to have xCloud be a viable thing. Like, this is almost like the killer app for xCloud on iPhone, which couldn't have happened if they didn't have this dispute before. Like, it's kind of just amazing the chain of events that have to make this happen, because I don't know how many people who are typically just like mobile players would jump over to, I want to play console games on my phone. I'm not really sure. So what games kind of like exist in both spaces? Fortnite is the game for that. So yeah, there's a whole ecosystem that kind of surrounds it, but I feel like it centers on Fortnite. So very good news for Tim Sweeney. I'm sure he's just like giggling in his sleep about how this turned out. But also I think more important for xCloud and its viability to finding new audiences and all that garbage.
Absolutely. Well, next up, and this is a story that like we had heard was coming for a while, so it's been rumored, but we finally got confirmation of it yesterday. EA has officially announced that they have parted ways with FIFA, and this year's FIFA 23 will be the last game with the FIFA brand from EA. They also stated that in July of next year, they will release EA's next soccer series called EA Sports FC, while FIFA stated that they will start to license the FIFA name to a number of different publishers and games, rather than locking it up between a single publisher/game series. Although they did talk about in the press release how they're going to be developing the FIFA games going forward, and that they will be the best games.
They will be the best. Yeah,
the best soccer games, and they said it in big capital letters.
I know.
And I'm just like, why?
Are you 12? Yeah. I mean, like, part of it was, what else do you want a company to say? Like, we'll be second best, we'll be mediocre. Like, they should want to, proclaim that they're going to put out quality products, of course. But it sounded ridiculous, especially in the all caps. It didn't really hit the mark. Maybe there's a weird European lost in translation thing. I'm not sure exactly. Ryan, I think EA Sports FC is one of the lamest wet rag names I've heard in a very long time. I think it carries absolutely no brand recognition whatsoever. I've took to Twitter to this, and I'm surprised how many people responded in the way that they did, which I said, I don't think this is going to work out well for EA. And rather than even addressing whether or not it's going to work out well for EA, most people were just concerned with like FIFA was a corrupt organization. I'm like, both things can be true. Both things, like FIFA can be a corrupt organization, and there's a lot of news and things to suggest that is the case. But I also think that EA Sports FC is going to sell poorly. Is just what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like that's going to be the case, and it creates a giant opening for probably 2K, and we'll see who else kind of enters in on this. But this is the new normal now, as EA is losing its exclusivity that they've held over all, like golf is another example of this. NBA is another example. Star Wars, like basically everything. They used to just be able to do whatever they wanted. So I think in the end, it's going to be like FIFA might be right that you will get better experiences with a FIFA name attached to it, just because it's opening things up quite a bit more than it was. But people got so fixated on, well, FIFA's a garbage organization, so they shouldn't be getting what they ask for. Maybe they're asking for too much money. And I just think this is where these conversations are best happening. I don't know why I even take to Twitter for this kind of stuff.
Well, first off, we actually know, because they actually were public about the amount of money that they asked for. They asked for $1 billion for 5 years of exclusivity for the name. That's a lot of money.
For 5 years, so $200 million for the name per year.
Yeah.
I don't think that's...
And don't get me wrong, it doesn't sound like a lot in context, but EA said that's too much for us to pay. every year, and and I think even if this game sells less, I think that they might actually end up making more money than
it's possible
versus them, because you have to take into consideration that they have to basically take that $200 million per game and then subtract that from the amount that they're making from it.
Yeah. I mean, they're still going to have the teams. There's still, and there's a lot of news coming out that the teams are there.
All the players. In fact, literally everything is going to be exactly the same. Just literally the FIFA name on all the other modes, everything else will be there. So, I mean, for the most part, there's no other. That's why, again, like they will probably lose sales, to your point, Sean, because I actually agree with you on that, where it won't sell as well because it's not there. And people who buy FIFA every year are the type of people that look on the box, and if they don't see the FIFA name on the box, they're probably not going to buy it. So there's definitely that slant of people out there. But I think people who are like really, really into FIFA will just see EA Sports Soccer on the shelf, and there's enough recognition there to know that this is a game that they should be picking up.
It's possible. I mean, it's to say that it's going to be just as good. I think it's just like ignore. Like, why even have names attached to these games? Why call it Madden? Why call it Tiger Woods? Like, why? Like, the brand name means a lot. Like to a huge degree. So to what it is, to what extent, I guess none of us really know. I just kind of want to like remind people, I suppose, that some game, like when you have even like you put the wrong name on it, you put like Rory McIlroy on it, and it's like and an average game, and that game tanked, you know. So I don't know. What is NBA Live without, or NBA Live's a garbage game anyways, but NBA 2K, what if they just had like basketball 2K? You know, with all the teams, but like, what if they just had basketball by 2K? Like, I just don't think that that's the same thing. Sean talking about sports games is cute. As if I didn't grow up playing sports games like almost exclusively Court Lalonde. Get out of here with your gatekeeping.
Sean was definitely the sports game person growing up.
No kidding.
We talked about that story on the show before, but like, Sean's definitely like the difference.
I played the good sports games. They got two up their own ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
2K hoops. Exactly.
I mean, it kind of reminds me, because I look over on my shelf, Sean, because I've got a lot of PlayStation 1 games on my shelf, and it kind of harkens back to some of the old Atari games as well, where it's just like, you've got games on the PlayStation 1 that are just called boxing, and it's just, you know, two people, you know, boxing on the cover.
Yeah.
And when you play that game, you get exactly what it says. You get boxing.
Yeah, how did that do against Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Or at that time, it was like EA's Fight Night, essentially.
I just think it's a normal reaction for people to have to say, like, I can't believe FIFA and how they think their brand is worth so much. And it's like, well, pardon me, but I feel like the FIFA game by EA became as popular as it is as a partnership, and probably elevated both their brands, the actual game itself and the FIFA brand itself, too. So, I don't know. I just think we get too simplistic about it.
Yeah,
we need more games
and
like
likewise,
NBA Jam. Yeah.
On the other side of the coin as well, I also think, like, after seeing what happened with the MLB when it tried to put out its own games and putting out, you know, RBA baseball,
RBI,
like
yes,
that,
yes,
and all
exactly,
all those games being terrible.
Yes,
I'm like, I also know it could go the other direction, where FIFA could put out a bunch of these games and they end up being really bad, and then people find out, oh, this, you know, EA Sports FC is a really good game, and I'll just keep playing that.
Yeah.
So it could go both ways. So
yep.
I'm interested to see how this plays out.
We'll watch it closely.
Neither of us are like the biggest soccer people, but it's certainly interesting.
I grew up playing soccer all the time. Like,
I mean, now, how often do you play FIFA now, Sean?
Oh, like a little bit, but not like obsessively. But it's installed in my system right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the same boat. I play it every year, but I'm not like over the mood with FIFA or anything like that. It's fine.
Okay, so next time before I start talking about something, I'll list all my credentials, just so that I can actually go ahead and make all my claims.
If anyone calls you on anything, we know. We
Yeah.
just consult the list. I'll be like, oh, well, Sean's actually an expert at this, and this.
I'm not saying I'm an expert. I think that's a little blowhardy, but you know, just to be like,
I was exaggerating.
I know.
Anyways, last bit of news.
Spicy.
WB has provided a new gameplay demo video for Gotham Knights, cementing the October 25th release date, but also they canceled the Xbox One version of the game because it was actually originally only supposed to be coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but now it's actually next-gen only, so PS5 and Xbox Series X and S only. Additionally, they announced a $300 collector's edition that features the game with a crazy statue with all 4 of the characters from the game on it. Sean, did you have a chance to check out this video? at all?
I'm kind of on blackout, if that's okay. I'm in on this game. I cannot wait to play it. I'm also surprised that they didn't just announce a PS6 and Xbox Next version. Like, why not just like go to because it's just been in development forever. Cancel the last version. It'll be this one and the next one. But dude, I'm stoked about this. I can't wait to finally play this game. But I'm kind of just like, I don't need to see anything. I'm very, very likely day one on it. But did you check it out?
I definitely checked it out because I was curious to know like what changes they made to the gameplay. And for the most part, it just looks like a Batman game.
That's kind of
RPG elements, which is what they showed before. But the combat looks a little bit more refined and just looks a lot more fluid than it was from the original kind of showing. And I'm looking forward to this game. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, man.
And also, I can't wait to finally have like a Batgirl game where I'm just
yes
throughout the entire game rather than switching between characters. Because I love Batgirl, so I'm very excited to finally have like the Batgirl game with 3 other characters that you could possibly play as if you wanted to. Although people on the internet are like freaking out about how jacked Jason Todd is in this game.
Yeah,
he's, like, super jacked for some reason. But yeah, it looks pretty cool, and
nice.
I'm excited for October 25th. And I know Cortland Law in particular in the chat, very very excited about this game as well as a big Batman fan. So
got it. Yeah, man, I can't wait to play this one. I can't believe, like I said, I can't believe it's coming out, and Court's going to be taking days off, I think.
Yeah, I would assume so. Well, anyways, let's let some of our friends into the car with us. It's time for the carpool, and believe it or not, Sean, we got 2 questions. They're both pretty much for you. So,
oh wow,
I'm kind of seeing out of this, but I'll read the questions. We're going to start with TPR.
Yes.
Why does Sean hate the Flood so much? I think they're disgusting and terrifying, but mysterious and intriguing for lore reasons. I'm going to mod all the Flood enemies into Jar Jar Binks character models, burn it onto a Combat Evolved disc, and then mail it to Edmonton. Sean, what do you have to say to TPR's question?
The Flood is just so cliche and lame and like lacking detail. And I guess people connect with maybe there's a horror element to it that it scared them. And it is just not even close to me. Like, I just don't, that's not who I want Chief to be fighting. I think they lack complete personality. It's not even like as interesting as something like the Zerg in StarCraft. I think I've talked about that before. Like there's just better versions of this. It's lame mud zombies that they shoehorned into a space world in a world that you're already fighting a much more interesting army. You know, that's just like with the prophets and everything else. Like the Flood sucks. What do people like? Kevin's in the chat saying, I love the Flood. What is there you shoot them and they just kind of like, bleh. Like they don't even, there's not like any
what
anatomy
happens when you
to them.
shoot other things? Of course they just go.
No, but they just kind of like turn to dust. They just kind of they just Thanos out of there and they just blend in. I don't know. They're totally forgettable. You know, it's not even like they've got like a cool big ass like monster Flood thing. It's just lots of things. Dude, no. I don't like. Do you like the Flood? Are you with me even a little bit on this?
I actually like the Flood a lot, Sean.
Oh man, what? Okay, so tell me, like, what am I missing here exactly?
I mean, first of all, I actually agree with you with the kind of the generic enemies that you kind of fight.
Yes,
are kind of lame, but at the same time, I like the concept of the Flood and what they kind of add to the universe because I like the idea of there being kind of like a second faction that you're fighting alongside the Covenant, but also I also like the idea of kind of them kind of like trying to like wash over the universe and kind of like the peril that comes along with that, where essentially like it almost feels like doom and gloom with the Flood, where you know that eventually they're just going to take over everything if you don't stop them.
Yeah, so the Zerg did it better.
I like the stakes that it adds to Halo with the Flood.
I guess it's just that the universe is going to be covered in mud monsters. That's it. Like it's just not.
It's going to be great.
No, Starship Troopers did it better. StarCraft did it better. Alien versus Aliens would have been better as well. If you just want to be overwhelmed by stuff, there's better ways to do it than just stupid mud things. The Flood are pretty similar to the Collectors in Mass Effect. Mass Effect did it better as well. I agree. I don't think that the notion of being overwhelmed by just like volume of enemies is the bad thing. Just don't make them all look the same, and don't make so many like crawly things.
But the crawly things are what gets into your suit, Sean. To turn
terrible,
you into a Flood.
Absolutely terrible. No.
And then,
so that's why, to answer the question.
Other question.
So spicy today.
On the Discord. Sean Capri, who are your favorite women in RPGs and why didn't you weigh in on the discussion on the RPG cave? Well, again, that's not Sean's fault. I mean,
I wasn't
we didn't
invited.
have him on the show. but I mean, you could have, in theory, could have written it, I guess.
That's true.
Question. But in theory, that's not your fault. So you can just answer the question, Sean. What do you think? Who are your favorite women RPGs?
Man, I mean, I'm glad that he asked the question because you're right. Every time that I didn't even ask it today when you're talking about your JRPG, I don't think that there are waifus in Elyuden Chronicles. I should have asked it. Are there waifus that we should be aware of in this game?
You play as a girl in that game, Sean.
Yeah,
CJ is a girl.
16. Yeah. Okay, so the first one that came to mind when I saw this question is Kisara from Tales of Arise. She might be number one waifu at this point. But you got to go like shield. What's that?
She's got a big shield.
Got a big shield. Does she have a tail or something weird like that? Like what the heck is going on there?
No,
she's got great
her armor like sticks out and kind of looks like a tail.
She kind of reminded me of like almost like a Saiyan, like a Saiyan from Dragon Ball.
But she's a normal human being, Sean. There's no tail there.
Kind of adds a little something to it. She's got great hair though, great look, great personality, very cool. I like Kisara quite a lot. Kevin in the chat says my favorite character in Arise. So there you go. That he agrees with me there. I have to talk about Persona 4 Golden because Chie is number one in Persona 4. Everybody goes for Rise. Garrett Bland, I think, likes Yukiko, which of course you would. Garrett Bland is what I have to say to that.
I mean, does everyone actually go for Rise, Sean? I actually think more people probably go for Chie than Rise.
I feel like Rise is definitely like the one you're supposed to go after. She's like this idol, and you know I
don't think there's any rules, Sean. I don't think you have to go after anyone.
Seems like that's the way they're trying to point you. But I'm like, game. I'm not doing what you're telling me to do. Chie over here is just one of us. She's a cool chick. And she kicks things, and I like it.
She likes kung fu movies.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of. Yeah. Kevin says I'm a Yukiko guy as well. Yeah. Wet rag, man. Just boring. Just boring. What does she bring to the table? You know, nothing.
Yeah. I guess.
I'm tempted. I feel like Donnie would also say Camilla from Fire Emblem. And
in fact, Sean, he did say that. He wrote in during the episode. And
yeah.
Said from Fire Emblem.
I'm a little conflicted on that because like. She's your sister, dude.
She's not your real sister, though.
But like, you know, okay, so that's a whole other conversation. I am absolutely not touching here, Ryan Turford.
I mean, to throw it the other way, Sean, if you romance anyone on the Hoshido side, where they're actually your blood relative.
Never played that version.
And it's even weirder.
That's really funny. Yeah, Kisara is probably going to be, she's number one right now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show, Sean. But before we go, Sean, plugs go.
I hope everybody is still with us and listening because I got a little spicy today. But if you want to let me know what you thought of the takes, put comments in the YouTube video. I always check the comments, or you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch at Sean Capri, Sean like Connor, Capri like the pants. Last repeat on the merch plug. Get your limited edition shirt. You got a couple days left, and then it's gone forever. Never coming back. Right. We're not even doing like a Disney thing. Like it's back in the vault, out of the vault. It's gone forever. We're burning the files. So you can get the links are in the show notes, but it's a bit.ly/CPG merch. And that's it for me, Ryan Turford.
There you go. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So, for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 240 of the Xbox Drive. Only 10 more episodes until 250.
What?
And we're out. Bye.
I guess that's how time works. I really want to know what you guys think about all my spicy takes. I'm going to see you guys next time and check out what happened at the Nintendo thing. I hope you have a great day. Bye. Bye. The Xbox Drive video is here. Bye.
Greater than X.